Hey, yo, 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 yo. How's it going? What's up? Oh man, today I'm a bit tired. One of those days, where where you're running on half tank kind of deal. Let's ASMR a little bit. Yeah, ASMR microphone. The best kind. Scratch, scratch, noise, noise. My apologies. I should have done this before switching the mic on. Egriat Gizilin Iglesias Miguel. My apologies. My apologies for the ASMR microphone. It can be extremely annoying. Hey Killer Rafi, how's it going? Dr. Sheldon, what up? How's it going? Run that flag. One of the contestants, oh for Pete's sake, just saw on YouTube that the competition is on, and I assume it's a he. Has been busy. I think a lot of people got busy, but we'll see how many dropouts. Oh, Iglesias, you're finished. Congratulations. You're a bit ahead of the curve and ahead of time. Cool. As long as it's clearly labeled final. Zealin. Well, it's okay. I mean, last year we had a few, and we were half the amount of people. So you have to consider that there is a lot of going to be a few more dropouts, just statistically, you know. Hey, Captain Boss. Ow! How's it going? My very own one-man wolf pack. Hey, Eric Moy, how's it going? You made it. Hello there, Ricky. How's it going? Alright, so Eric, you had some question about skin tones. I'm not gonna do like a breakdown of it. But as in, I'm not gonna do like a study of skin tones. But ask the question about what you wanted to know about skin tones, and I'll talk about it while doing some random sketch today. That's awesome, Bjorn, Ricky. Congratulations, you can devote it to Unreal Tournament. Zelin, no, I did not. I was very busy yesterday. I didn't have time for the post boost channel either, but I'll try to do it today. Hey, Cosmoverse. What up? So, Eric Moy, formulate your question. I'll start doodling on something random. First topic serve. First topic will be served. Do it, quick. What's the topic? What's the topic? Pressure is on. Hey, Dame Deviant, how are you? Dimensional Taylor. Alright, Atsuki wins. I will do something. Capitals. Dimensional Taylor. I'm gonna do costume design. Eric Ricky. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Bruno Romanos, Cosmoverts. What up? A skateboard? No, it's gonna be Taylor. Oh, I didn't write Bayatsky. Bayatsky. Tips on monochromatic color schemes regarding skin tones. Let's say a dark man in a green monochromatic painting. Well, monochromatic means mono, singular color, right? Because monochromatic, you know, then you just have to mimic the behavior of skin. Or do you mean limited palette? So he posted, for those who are not subscribers, he posted this as a reference, right? He's going to paint that, and this, but this is not monochromatic. This is just limited, like a limited palette, or a constrained palette. You're still going to have skin tones. So, okay, dimensional Taylor. So one thing, first of all, it's a bit okay, Captain Boss, I will take that as a, I don't think you meant for me, but I will take it as a direction for the dimensional Taylor. Sounded fun. Yeah, so about the skin tones, right? First of all, black skin or dark skin and light skin, it's the same skin, right? It's the same behavior, it's the same subsurface scattering, it's the same pores, more or less. I mean, it's going to be variety depending on ethnicity, but it's the same skin, right? It's not like it's different in that sense, but it's different in hue and in value. But it's still skin, right? So there's still subsurface scattering, there's still pores, still textures. The hair is different, but all in all, it's the same, right? Hey Urian, how's it going? Welcome, Urian. Anyways, so when you have a limited palette, you have to consider what can you show with your limited palette or your constrained palette. So obviously you can paint skin with black and white, which means if you paint dark skin, you have to go darker down the value range. Which means you're gonna see, it's gonna be clearly more textural differences between a light skin and dark skin, because dark skin shows different kinds of details due to the higher value range, right? It goes higher up on the value range, so it for example can bloom a lot easier. Like here on my forehead, this highlight from the window, if I would be dark skin, you would see that highlight way more because my skin is higher up on the value range, so the contrast is less, right? Versus the shadows. The shadows are different because the skin, the local value of the skin is brighter. So that's something you gotta take in consideration when you're painting dark skin, is that your starting position on the value range is further down. And a lot further down, depending on how dark you want to go, right? But then also you have to consider when you're rendering, for example, dark skin on like the global, the bounce light on my skin, the difference is very limited, right? There's not a high amount of contrast in hue or value. But with dark skin, that is further and further evident because of the reflective nature, especially if you have like a moist skin. Moist. What's a better word for moist skin? Lubed. I don't know. Wet. No. Let's use moist. I hate that word. Sweaty, oily. Well, not really any of them, but like healthy, full-bodied skin. It acts in a specific way, right? Örjan, I make your skin all moist. Hydrated, there we go. That's a way better. Hydrated skin. That's actually on point with what I wanted to explain. Was that the ashier, drier you go, the less of the full value range you can go. I mean, my skin is quite dry, right? So the highlights are not very hard, right? The skin is matted. My elephant skin figures, right? The highlights are not extreme. Versus if I would go put lotion, or I will get the hose again. If I put lotion again, like on my skin, the value range that you had to render would vary. And for as a little like cultural thing, which I know, is that black people need to moisturize more because it shows some more evident that their skin is becoming dry, also known as ashy. It's quite evident because we don't see it so much on white people or white skin because the value range isn't, we are high up on the value range, so it's not as visible because all that you can kind of spot is that the difference between hydrated and dehydrated skin is the amount of specularity and subsurface scattering. And if you look at like dead people, there's an interesting thing as well where the blood itself has a significant thing to do with how alive or how we render the skin. And you can see that also a lot more significant on old people. So for black skin, for example, or dark skin, as the skin behaves the same way on all humans, is just a local value and pigmentation and hair and so on. These finer details differ, but the skin is still has subsurface scattering. It still lets light pass through it. It's just that the base color is different, right? Moist. So a thing that you have to remember with dark skin versus white skin or pale skin or light skin is the fact that the blood does different things to the color due to the fact that the local color is different, right? There's more pigmentation in dark skin, So it shifts the hue, the range slightly. So a lot of darker skin has way more purple and greens and oranges, while pale skin have more purples, reds, and pinks, and blues. Because like I said, we're higher up on the value range, but also we have less pigmentation. So that shifts the color space. So when you have a limited color palette like that you're trying to pursue, what you got to do is obviously, first of all, get the behavior of the skin correct. You know, dark skins reflect more if they are moisturized, or if it's a ashy or dehydrated black skin behaves a very different way than moisturized. But it's important that you take behavior in consideration with anything when you have limitations to it when it comes to color space. Like, I can make him look shiny without colors, right? Because the difference will lie in how hard the highlights are, or how quick the value range turns. As in, you know, like a chrome ball or a shiny ball, you know, would have a hard difference, right? It wouldn't have smooth gradients because that's more of a diffuse material. A shinier material, the difference is that it lumps the value range a lot more because it's shiny, right? It bands the values a lot more, and something that's matte has a smoother transition because the surface is duller, so it absorbs more light, and it shifts it more gradually. So in order to translate that the person is black in a limited palette, you got to start with a darker local color and then adapt the behavior of the skin rather than the hue of the skin to behave correctly. So it's going to have more visible highlights because it's a darker local color. It's going to yeah, you got to show somehow subsurface scattering by hue shifts, and whatever hue shifts you do, you have to consider that the difference between white or pale and dark skin, or white and bright and dark skin, is that the behavior of the skin is the same, right? Translucency and subsurface scattering, but the result is different due to the fact that the local color is different. So when you do hue shifts or show subsurface scattering on dark skin, you have to shift the hue range. So, for example, like, you can make a gray look cold or warm depending on how much temperature you put into it, or what color you put next to it. So that's something you have to consider as well. It's like, how can I show the difference between dark and bright skin with the limitations I have? And also, don't forget that features are very important if you want to convey dark person, because they are from a different, generally they are from a different part of the world, right? And through history of living in that area, there is a geographic differences. I don't remember the exact word, but I did it. Part of it was of my master exam work at uni about geographical location changes the look and behavior of people. Hey, Voodoo Breakfast, how's it going? Wanamir, how's it going? Eric, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Just look at white people, like northern people versus like Asian people, Chinese people versus Eskimos or Inuits or whatever they're called. They're not called Eskimos because that's considered racist, I guess. I guess they're Inuits. Native Americans, you know, all their features are different due to the fact that they have migrated through different continents, and they stayed in an area a longer time, so they genetically or visually have adapted to the location that they're in. So it's important when you're conveying a person of color that you consider ethnicity, because like there's difference between black people and black people. Like take a Gambian versus a Egyptian or South Korean. South Korean. That's in Africa. South of Africa. Here's a black and white image with the head obscured. Yeah, I'd say that person is tanned. I'd say he's like Spanish-ish. The value range is like in the Spanish, which is like in the middle. Just by judging by that. But like Eric says, it's hard to know with contrast because in that image he's naked. But if you would put an egg next to him, and within the same lighting situation, we would see the color of the egg. If it's a white egg or a dark brown egg, it's also different, right? Or you know, it's all contextual, because I can make this person look black now, depending on what I do with the rest of the image. Yeah, he kind of looks like Egyptian from that part, like Northern Africa, which they're not like black. Yeah, it could be a dark Spanish person. But I mean, he's not like, is it Gambia that are Ethiopians that are like black? No, I mean, he doesn't look, I mean, I was talking about skin tone. I mean, there's a lot of pale Spanish people. I mean, like the tanned Spanish people. Yeah, absolutely. So, needless to say, context is very important if you want to convey black person in a painting with a restricted palette. And as we could see, the face plays a big part with how we, where we place the person ethnically, not only by the value of the skin, but features. So it's a balancing act, right? So you gotta just make sure you have reference of where you want to take it in terms of ethnicity, and then be very aware of local color or local value, where you start off the value range, because you're going to have to do most of the work in values, and then whatever colors you have to move around with, make sure to shift the hue range so that it's not generic white skin behavior, but it has to have its own like shifts in palette. Like I said, dark skins tend to have more purples and greens and oranges in hue shifts, versus pale skin, which has more purples, blues, and pink. So with that, with whatever you wiggle room you have with the palette, you gotta convey that in the dark skin. Oh yeah, you're just word trolling this entire morning. Just debating everyone with your puns. Yeah, so that would be my biggest things that you should consider in order to convey a darker skin. Hey, ID, how's it going? You use humor as a defense mechanism. I mean, who's attacking you? There's no one. There's no one attacking you, Arian. You're just defending. Or do you feel called out that that I'm helping Eric Bowie with skin color? Arian, what's up, buddy? Hey, buddy. How's it going? You need a hug? Eric, yeah, absolutely. Um, Absolutely, there's not just one black skin color. Obviously not. There's lots of difference, and that's what I'm saying about find reference of where you want to take the ethnicity, and look at a lot of features going with that skin color, because usually what happens, like I tried to explain, each continent have a different take, more or less, on the generic base human, and due to the fact that they've been living in this area for generations, the body has adopted. Like, Nordic people look different from African people, clearly, because there's way more sun in Africa and there's way less sun in the Nordic region, so all people are pale in the northern region. And noses shift. They have smaller noses because they don't want to suck in so much cold air. Same with the eyes, usually. Like, if you look at Inuits and so on, the eyes are really thin because of the cold climate. You know, they're, generally speaking, they're bigger and stronger because of the harsh climate and hard to labor the world. You know, like farming wise and so on, which have created, like, generally speaking, quite strong, physically strong people, or large people. If you think about size in temperature, for example, a lot of Hispanic people aren't that big due to the fact that they have a like had a nice even temperature, so they don't need a lot of protective physicality to it, right? That's why like Vikings were quite successful, because they were these hardworking, large farmers trying to survive in cold climate where the land is really hard to farm, and then they go to people where they haven't had those kind of climate to change their physicality, so they don't need to grow. And if usually the higher the temperature, the easier to maintain temperature is to have a smaller frame. And that's why there isn't like massive amount of very large people, generally speaking, of course, in warm climates. Twix tricks. How long have you been drawing in values? Soon as you draw in values. Or you mean this one? It's a half an hour warm up, and I'm drawing very slowly today because I'm talking about skin tone and ethnicity to help Eric Mui here in the chat with a subscriber perk, which is a hero card, where I coach you for a better portfolio piece, more or less. Oh, drawing without lines? I've always enjoyed painting rather than lines, but I also enjoy drawing line art. But I'd say my default happy place is painting oil. And when painting oil, I love, if you think of it like a sculptor sculpting the clay sculpture, but I do it with paint, with oil. So I'm defining planes of a 3D object through paint. So that's a lot more where I am thinking. And with line art, I do it the same way, but it's more of like a representation of the form. So it's a little bit different, but I do line art as well. But my happy place is definitely just painting form without lines. A lot of it comes from like just three-dimensional thinking. That's as an example. That's why 3D modeling, it comes quite easy for me, I think, due to the fact that my brain in general just enjoys 3D space rather than a 2D representation of 3D space. If that makes sense, any sense. Gria, yeah, I mean, I'm no stranger to it, but the fact that there isn't a lot of traffic to my imprint, I haven't felt like urge to fill up. But I think there's a lot of interest in my dark fantasy series. I think I'll put them up and see if there's any difference in traffic. I'm gonna put them up there and push, or advertise rather, and see if there's any interest. I mean, I can put up whatever I want on my imprint, depending on requests, you know. Zealand, yeah, that's also one thing I'd like to do is put up some print on ArtStation. I think I'll put the golden ticket one up there because it's ArtStation competition and so on. All right, that's it. This is the weird drawing I did while explaining and gesturing about skin tones. Hopefully it helped. Hopefully it made some sense. I think I explained it quite okay without visual explanation. Hopefully you can walk away with a better understanding of where you need to take it. Eriks, no, not really. But don't post like 100% original resolution, which is like 10K by 10K, because no one's gonna care about it. Consider this. What the judges are gonna do is most of the times they're gonna look at a smaller version, or if they're interested or they need to make a judgment call in more detail, they will of course click it. But they will never like zoom in your 100% 10K resolution and look at that fancy little brushstroke on that little screw on the robot's head. No one of the judges is going to do that. They're going to look at the screen resolution generally. So that's like a good general rule is don't go crazy and upload like a 40 megabyte JPEG. No one is going to care about it other than the creator when it comes to looking at an image, generally speaking. So hopefully that'll help you a bit. Yeah, these pixels on a 30K, no. But I mean, if there's a part of the image where resolution plays a factor, yeah, of course. But you should also create images based on people are looking on a website or a portfolio website, and they hardly ever, there's a full res one, and let's zoom in on this one and absorb every pixel of it. Like that's not gonna happen, generally speaking. As a general rule, I think you can judge by full screen resolution is probably a good idea. Like what, 1920? Is that full wide screen res? Like 2K wide? What you should consider though is print resolution. You should paint them in high resolution. Any painting you do that's towards a portfolio should be done in high resolution. You just don't need to post it in high resolution, right? You don't need to submit print resolution because there's no need for it, right? But you should do it when you create the image. Yes, 100% do it print resolution as high as you can do it in terms of style, comfort when it comes to resolution and machine performance. Because you might want to print it one day. You don't want to have like post-it note size resolution and you go like, fuck. But yeah, generally keep it high res. Okay, let's raid someone. Let's raid Andy Face. He's doing something interesting. Thanks everyone for joining in. Have a great day, good night if you're in that part of the world. Hopefully Eric Moy, you took something away from it, and the rest of you as well. See you tomorrow. as per usual, I will do the outro and then I will take us all to the raid. Have a good one, everyone. And I might stream on my lunch today. So, anyways.